So I had some questions about the homework from the 22nd, and I wanted to kind of go over the questions here, with the commentaries, just so you can kind of maybe get a better feel for, how to do these problems. All right, so let's take a look here. We started with number 7. Okay, and number 7 asks us to simplify the expression. So the expression here is the fourth root of 25 times the cube root of 5. So it says to simplify the expression by writing it using rational exponents and then use the properties of rational exponents to simplify. Okay, and then assume all variables are positive, exponents in simplified form should all be positive. Okay, so again, we want to rewrite using rational exponents. So remember that a rational exponent is just a fraction exponent. Okay, so right now, this radical symbol that we have right here, right, that's not a fraction, that's a radical, okay, symbol. So we want to change it to a rational exponent. So be careful with those two words. This is radical. And then the rational exponent would be 25 raised to the 1/4 power, because the fourth root becomes the 1/4 exponent there. Okay, likewise, this 5 we're taking the cube root of, it's 5 to the 1/3 power. Okay, and so that is converting from the radical to the rational. Okay, so we start with radicals and we convert to these rational exponents. Okay, rational fractions. All right, so now we want to try and simplify further. But if you look at this, right, we cannot multiply these because we have different bases. All right, that 25 is not the same base as the 5 right there. So what do? Well, we can rewrite this 25 as a power of 5. 25 is the same as 5 squared. And now we can do some simplification. When you have a power raised to a power like this, you multiply. So 2 times 1/4 gives us 2/4, which is the same thing as 1/2. And then times that 5 to the 1/3. Now, we have the same base, and so when we multiply, we add these two exponents. Okay? So it's going to be 5 to the 1/2 plus 1/3 power, like that. Of course, to add fractions, you can type that in your calculator if you want to. 1/2 plus 1/3. Make sure you put parentheses around your fractions. Or we can just get a common denominator here. So 1/2 is the same thing as 3/6, and 1/3 is the same thing as 2/6. And so if we add those, we get 5/6. And so this is just 5 to the 5/6 power as a final simplified answer. Okay? All right. The next one I had you guys do was number 11. Okay, so for number 11, we have some variables in here. And cube root of st. Okay, same directions though. We want to rewrite these radical symbols here as rational or fraction exponents. So a 6th root would become what exponent? Will become a 1/6. So we'll rewrite the s to the 4th t to the 9th part, and we'll raise the whole thing to the, not 1/4, 1/6 power. Over, now we have a cube root here, and that changes to what exponent? It changes to a 1/3, like that. Okay, now it's just a matter of multiplying, or just simplifying from here. So this power here we will distribute. Okay, and since the power raised to a power, we're going to multiply powers. So it's going to be 1/6 times 4, 1/6 times 9. So we get 4 times 1/6 is 4/6. And 9 times 1/6 is 9/6. And then 1/3 also distributes. Now, this does not have an exponent here, so what is it? Well, it's a 1, right? When you don't have an exponent, you can write a 1 in there. And again, just distribute the 1/3 to each one of those, so you get s to the 1/3, t to the 1/3. Okay, now, we can't combine these together, nor can we combine these together because they have different bases, right? This has a base of s, this is a base of t. Same thing down in the denominator. However, okay, the division here, those two things, those pairs there have common bases. And when we divide, we subtract. So it's going to be 4 6 take away 1/3. So I can rewrite this as s to the 4 6 minus 1/3, like that. Excuse me. And then t to the 9 6 minus what? 9 6 minus 1/3. Okay, again, because it's the 9 6 and the 1/3 there that are dividing. T to the 9 6 divided by t to the 1/3, you subtract exponents. And now we just simplify these fractions, or that fraction arithmetic there. Again, use your graphing calculator if you want to help you, or you can just, again, convert. 1/3 is the same thing as 2 6. 1/3 is 2 6 there, and so when we subtract, 4 6 take away 2 6 is going to give us 2 6ths, and 9 6 take away 2 6 is 7 6ths. And then that fraction right there can simplify, so we'll go ahead and make it s to the 1/3 t to the 7 6. And there's our final answer. Okay? Now, 13 and 15, their directions are slightly different. Or 13 and 14, I should say, their directions are slightly different. 13 wants us to just simplify using the properties of nth roots. Okay, but we won't worry about rationalizing those, so don't worry about rationalizing, but we will simplify here. So let's get this written. Okay, so to simplify this, since there's a couple ways you can simplify this, a couple different ways to do it. So what I did in the homework was to rewrite all these bases as powers of 6. Okay, so that's one way to do this. And then used rational exponents. So I saw here that 36 is the same thing as 6 squared. And 216, that's the same thing as 6 to the 3rd. And then, of course, just, well, the 6 is just 6. Like that. Okay? And then since, so now all these fourth roots that we have, well, that's all the same as what exponent? Right? Think back to what we were doing up here, where we had a 6th root or a 3rd root. What exponents did they become? They became 1/6 and 1/3. Okay? Well, these fourth roots all become 1/4. So this is 6 to the 2 to the 1/4 times 6 to the 3 to the 1/4 over 6 to the 1 to the 1/4. Okay? And then you can, simplify by multiplying these powers together. Again, power to a power, you multiply the powers, so you get 6 to the 2/4 times 6 to the 3/4 over 6 to the 1/4. Okay, and then since we're multiplying here, we're going to add these exponents. So 2/4 plus 3/4 is 5/4. And then since we have division here, we will we'll subtract these exponents. So 5/4 take away 1/4 is 4/4, which simplifies to just a 1, or just, in other words, 6. Okay? An alternative way that you could have done this problem is, since all of these are underneath a fourth root, you can combine these pieces together. So for example, you could have made this the fourth root of 36 times 216 over the fourth root of 6 like this, okay? And then just do that, 36 times 216, which gives you 7,776, and then over the fourth root of 6. And then this is just equal to the fourth root of 7,776 over 6 like that. Okay, which gives you the fourth root of 1,296. And then you can just do the fourth root of 1,296 in your calculator, or you could rewrite this as 1,296 to the 1/4 power, and then do that in your calculator. And then, of course, you get the same answer of 6, like you see right there. Okay, there's a couple different ways to do that there. And then finally, number 14. Okay, and then 14, we have the fourth root of 4,096 times x to the 6th y to the 8th. Okay, so again here, a couple options that you could do. I'm going to rewrite this fourth root as a 1/4 power. Okay, like so. And then you can distribute the power to each of the three pieces there. So it would be 4096 to the 1/4, x to the 6th to the 1/4, y to the 8th to the 1/4. Okay? And then at that point, we'll just do, let's see here. Okay, so 4096 to the 1/4 power, it gives us exactly 8, which is really nice. And then we multiply these sets of exponents together, so we'll get x to the 6/4 and y to the 8/4. 6/4 will simplify to 3/2. Y to the 8/4 simplifies just 2. And now this 3/2, we have some work that we can kind of do. We can leave it as 3/2 if you want to. Okay, and in fact, I might just say to go ahead and do that. We'll just stop right there. I think in the homework assignment what I did was, I think I rewrote it. Yes, I did. So what I did in the homework is, another thing that you can sometimes do here is kind of like break up this exponent into like its whole number and then whole part and then it's like part. So x to the 3/2 is the same thing as x to the 2/2 times x to the 1/2 times y to the 2, like that. And so that allows us to simplify that to be x. I'm going to move this y squared paired up with it here and leave this x to the 1/2 at the end, because then you might see it written something like this. Okay, but I'm also okay with you leaving it just like that too. Okay, in fact, that's what I'll probably have you guys focus on for when it comes to like the quiz and stuff like that. All right. So hopefully that helped. Let me know if you have further questions or not. And yeah, let me know if you have any further questions. If you want to practice some other homework questions, that would be good practice, kind of thing for this. I would say, try number 15 or try number, I don't know, 8 or 11. Those are also some good practice too. Let's see here. 15's answer, you should get x to the 2 y as your final answer. 8 for your final answer there. You should end up with, let's see here. You should end up with just 2, I believe. And then, let me just check that one more time here. Yeah, you should just end up with 2 for number 8, and then 11 you should end up, if you just wanted to get some practice in and stuff like that. Let's see here. S to the 1/3, T to the T to the 7/6. Okay. So anyway, there's your answer. Maybe for some extra practice, try those. And let me know if you have any further questions.